My purpose is to detail the methods and manifestations of Russia's hybrid warfare, and this goes way beyond espionage to include sabotage, cyber attacks, disinformation, and orchestrated chaos. This assessment relies on direct, verifiable evidence from our own investigations. I will outline approximately 7 domains, 1 per minute, of this multifaceted assault. First, physical sabotage within EU borders. This dimension has escalated dramatically. While Russia targeted European military infrastructure pre-2022, you remember the munition depots, explosions in Czechia and Bulgaria, assassination attempts on Emilian Gebrev in Bulgaria, its cross-border sabotage has significantly increased since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Last year alone, Polish counterintelligence arrested 9 operatives paid by Russian handlers for arson, attempted train derailments, and filming all of this for propaganda purposes. A Belarusian operative set fire to a Warsaw megastore on Russian orders, falsely blaming it on Ukrainians. Finland and Estonia are repairing the Baltic-Connector pipeline, an S-Link 2 cable, deliberately severed by Russian-linked vessels. Historically, it was GRU's Unit 29155, which numbered not more than 100 operatives, that handled many such operations. But now Russia uses thousands of people from former FSB units, organized crime figures, and individuals from occupied Ukrainian territories with a criminal background. A new threat is something we call retail saboteurs. These are recruited people within Europe. The recruitment happens via Telegram chatbots. They're paid $250 to $10,000 or euros for specific tasks. Our investigation has uncovered an FSB operative in France recruiting saboteurs last year for the Olympics, for disruption. Second, cyber operations targeting institutions and critical infrastructure in Europe. The cyber attacks have been constant since 2007, but in May of last year, Germany, Czechia, and Poland exposed a multi-year GRU Fancy Bear campaign, infiltrating political parties, defense contractors, and government systems via known vulnerabilities. We have now identified a new offensive cyber capability unit linked to the same sabotage unit, GRU 29155. Previously, they were focused on inciting interstate discord within Europe, but their objectives are now much more sinister. A leaked target list that we got our hands on includes European healthcare providers, medical suppliers, hospital DNA data banks, water systems, and transport hubs. The specific goals and timing are unknown, but the malign intent is very clear. These activities often aim to sow chaos and disrupt essential services, not to gather intelligence. Third, electronic warfare disrupting European skies. Russia also engages in direct electronic warfare. Last spring, and since last spring, over 800 GPS jamming incidents over the Baltic and Nordic regions have forced flight diversions and cancellations, and Estonia, Finland, and Lithuania have lodged protests against this deliberate peacetime harassment. Next, Kremlin-funded political influence and disinformation campaigns, and we heard a lot about that from Ms. Yankovic. Russia actively manipulates our political landscape. The Voice of Europe operation that you remember revealed Kremlin payments to individuals in this very parliament to promote anti-Ukrainian narratives before the June 2024 elections. Intercepted GRU communication that we have boasts of buying or sponsoring European political figures. During Germany's snap elections, over 700 fake accounts amplified AfD points and attacked the CDU candidate. Intense interference occurred in Moldova and Romania, as you remember. While this is not new, remember the Montenegro 2006 coup attempt, the scale is now ubiquitous and very opportunistic. Next,
Dear Mr. Grozev, can you just slow down a little bit for our interpreters? They're running after your speech. Thank you.
Thank you, I will. Next, the weaponization of migration. In 2024, European Union saw a 66% spike in irregular crossings from Belarus, orchestrated operation from Russia to funnel asylum seekers to Poland, Latvia, and Lithuania, termed instrumentalization by this very commission. Beyond this, our investigation found passports of young Afghan citizens with the mailboxes of GRU Unit 29155 officers. Dozens of these hundreds were traced by us entering Western Europe as asylum seekers, often spending months in Russia before that. The presence of their documents with sabotage experts in Russia strongly suggests potential infiltration with malign intent. Next, energy coercion. Russia wields energy as a weapon. On January 1st, Gazprom halted gas transit altogether via Ukraine, forcing Austria and Slovakia into emergency reserves. Gazprom faces 18 billion in arbitration claims, but they don't care. They can pay that. Next, recruiting Western assets. You may be familiar with the Jan Marsalek case. A fugitive from a highly praised Wirecard company of Germany, the former ex-CEO of that company is now in Russia. He exemplifies the hybrid tactics using European citizens. He helped recruit a Bulgarian-British cell for tasks, including surveillance of a US base, honey-trapping operations against journalists, including myself, and disseminating false flag narratives to discredit Ukraine. UK prosecutors have secured convictions against these people, but Jan Marsalek is walking freely in Russia, far from the reach and apparently from the interest of European legislators and law enforcement. But this highlights Moscow's fusion of human intelligence, cyber and information warfare, as well as outsourcing operations very cheaply. And last, as we heard earlier, the Pravda disinformation ecosystem is an important example of what Russia does. We have been following that from a qualitative, not so much from a quantitative perspective, through a new entity called the Observation Observatory, which is affiliated with the American University in Bulgaria, with the Civic Information and Democracy Center there. And we see there that a study that we just conducted and is available on the website maps out over 190 Kremlin-linked websites and narratives, saturating search engines with pro-Kremlin content, targeting especially vulnerable regions, such as the Balkans, the Baltics, and Moldova. Narratives there aim not to convince, but to confuse and to overwhelm. And last, I would like to mention what we believe the motivations of such campaigns are. What drives this? Often the goal is simply chaos. A leaked intelligence policy paper that we got our hands on states from Russia, confusion is victory. Instilling existential fear, per one document, is key. False bomb threats, planned derailments of trains, fleeting deepfakes, these are tactical victories. Internal dynamics also play a role. Hybrid operations emanating from Russia are now a competitive market. The GRU, the FSB, the SVR, the oligarchs and state companies compete for budgets and favor from Putin via overlapping, sometimes uncoordinated campaigns. This explains duplicated targeting efforts. Hybrid war is both ideology and an industry in Russia. In conclusion, honorable members, Russia's assault is comprehensive, it's psychological, it's technological, economic, and informational. It feels like fear, not war, but that is the point. Exposed cells, mapped networks, and convicted spies show that these operations can be countered. Success stems from collaboration among journalists, between intelligence services in Europe, and critically, between EU member states. A discovered SVR, Russian Foreign Intelligence paper, advises, quote unquote, forget moral principles. We are at war with the West. Quote, close of quote. Europe cannot abandon its principles, but Europe must name this war for what it is, a war. Only then can it be fought with the seriousness and unity required. Thank you.